Hey, good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos, hoping that you're doing well on a Thursday, June the 7th, as we start another work day. And, of course, a lot going on. Mike Amos calling in from Birmingham this morning. How's the weather up there?
It's actually beautiful today. It's about 65 this morning. It's got a nice little cool breeze. I wish I could get up and maybe get a walk a little bit, but I got these little kids. I got to feed them and let them watch their cartoons. So
You're right. Thank goodness they got something like that they want to watch.
yeah, thank goodness that's right.
Mike,
we got one that doesn't want to stay still. She just wants to pull up on everything and try to stand and start walking. So I might actually lose a little weight chasing after her now.
Yeah, you're right. No question about it. Of course, a lot going on.
Congratulations to Chandler Aban from Troy, Alabama. Went in the 30th round yesterday to the New York Mets. So he'll get an opportunity to, hopefully get up and play through the minors. And who knows, maybe one day in the major leagues. You never know.
Of course, Chandler played right here at Pike Liberal Arts School and was an outstanding high school player. And, of course,
I'm sure he wishes he would have gone a little earlier. The shortstop Vance, who played with him for years, who's a junior, went in the 17th, 18th round, I think. So, but Clint Robertson made the big leagues. I think he went number 20 in the 25th round, maybe.
That's right, sure did.
You never know.
And let me tell you this: I've known Chandler Aban all his life, and he'll do well. You put him in a position, and he led Alabama in almost every hitting category, in his career. And,
he led him in RBIs this year with 38.
And something about him, he's got a little pop. He's always, he's real fast. And, of course, he was injured as a sophomore. And I don't think it's really hindered his speed that much, but it has some. But before he was hurt, he was one of the fastest players in college baseball.
But C.J. Carter also for Troy went 29th round. The reliever, he's a junior, so he'll have a decision to make if he wants to come back or not. I would imagine he'll probably come back and try to improve his draft stock. And then, Joey Dennison, I'm still shocked that he didn't get drafted. I mean, one of the greatest hitters in Troy history.
What I was told today was what I heard on this show yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. They said that he's too old. He's 23 years old. And they say that's too old. Is that right?
Well, I mean, he's hit 393 with 6 home runs, 81 RBIs, Sun Belt Player of the Year. I mean, he was also all regional in the Athens regional they played in. I mean, if he goes out the way he went out, you couldn't be more happier for him. I mean,
well, and of course, he was a second team. I mean, you look at all the right fielders in America, he was a second team All-American.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm sure 23 years old maybe is an issue, as far as
well, if you're talking about it, the guy that said something to me yesterday, I was at this camp that's been held in Troy this weekend and or this week, and he was saying that all right, they signed an 18-year-old out of high school. Who would you want to
try to develop?
Yeah, develop. You've got 4 years. You can develop him. All right, you got a 23-year-old who is one of the great hitters in college baseball. He's got to help you right away. That type thing.
But a 23-year-old usually out of college, if they're putting up the numbers he puts up, usually starts in high single A.
I think he's going to get a shot, and of course he is a natural. He was the talk of the whole tournament, in Athens, that was started last Friday.
That's what's hard to believe, though, is if Matt Sanders goes in the 10th round, they got to wonder why Matt Sanders scored all those runs, set the runs record.
There's no question about it.
In college baseball, it's because Joey Dennison kept on driving him in.
That's right, and I tell you what.
I wonder out of Joey Dennison's 81 RBIs, how many of those RBIs were scored by Sanders?
I know. Well, Sanders scored 80-some runs, didn't he?
No, 90, 95.
95. Isn't that unreal? And, of course, he was drafted. Now, I tell you, I was looking at Troy. How much this is going to hurt Troy to lose all these players.
It's going to hurt them a lot. I mean, they've only basically got Rigsby Mosley and Frederick and Chase Smart coming back.
Yeah, and then what
they got the Manning kid at second.
All right, it will be good if Carter comes back, and if, of course, Levi Thomas has got star written all over him now. Boy,
yeah,
out of Coleman. You know what? I'd go to Coleman. I'd go to Coleman right now and take everybody they got. That is a great baseball town.
You either go to G.W. Long or Coleman. You'd be pretty good.
That's right. You're exactly right. But he's got, Coach Smart's got a job to do. And see, he has a lot later time to do it than other people because he was in the playoffs. These other guys have been recruiting all spring,
Well, the real problem with college baseball, we don't really talk about it enough, is they really don't have a lot of scholarships to offer. Not many kids have a full ride. Like most kids get offered a partial. Some kids just get offered books. I mean, it's one of those tough situations where I think there's 12 scholarships.
That's right.
For like 25 to 30 players. Yeah. It's kind of insane.
Troy freshman outfielder Rigsby Mosley was named a collegiate baseball freshman All-American, announced Wednesday morning. The 2018 Sun Belt Freshman of the Year and a second-team All-Sun Belt selection, batted .322 with 12 doubles, 5 triples, 5 home runs, and 51 RBIs. A native of Maitland, Florida, he finished in a tie for 4th in the conference in triples, posted an 8th best batting average, and drove in an 8th most runs in the conference. And
I tell you what, man, you see him at the plate, he looks like a hitter.
Yeah, he does, and he's aggressive. He attacks the ball. Hey, he walks up there with a mean. Don't ever don't ever tell me that nice guys get struck out before guys that are hard-nosed. Hey, let me just say this. That pitcher is trying to make you look silly. And I like the batters that go up there that wants to hit it right down the middle, every time.
Yeah, Troy's also got that Prestigard kid back at first base. He hit 6 home runs. He could probably hit double-digit home runs next year if he plays the whole season.
That's right. Between he and Frederick, you had 13 home runs and 83 RBIs. And but sure. And this is where Mark Smart comes in as good as anybody. I mean, can't you see Mark Smart going into a young man's home and sitting down with his family?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Wouldn't you give Mark Smart a chance to get that kid?
Brad Phillips is a good coach and a real good pitching coach as well. Yeah. So I mean, they've got some good coaches.
Yeah, no question about it.
Birmingham's back in the minor league football business. Yesterday they had a press conference. The Alliance of American Football League has picked a team in Birmingham, and they hired a coach named Tim Lewis that's just been an NFL assistant for years. He'll join coaches Steve Spurrier, Rick Neuheisel, Dennis Erickson, Mike March, some real well-known coaches in this league. But they'll start playing here in about a year in Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, and of course
they'll also play. It's a spring league, so they'll also play in the new stadium they're building downtown for UAB.
Yeah. Which will be very good, and that's going to enhance downtown Birmingham, don't you think? It's going to help with their tourism. It's going to help with their bringing in conventions. Birmingham's going to be enhanced, no question about this new stadium and these new teams coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 55,000-seat stadium. So.
Have you been up to the driving range yet? Have they opened that yet?
Oh, Top Golf? Oh, you can't get in there. It's packed all the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about in downtown Birmingham, you're riding in and you see this giant screen. You say, what's going on? What's going on? And people are hitting golf balls in downtown Birmingham.
Well, it's also like a bar restaurant, too. You got so many different people just going up there to hang out and have a good time.
Yeah.
And, your daughter's been. She doesn't know how to swing a golf club.
She's never picked up a golf club in her life, has she? But, ladies and gentlemen, this is...
My mother-in-law's been out there. She said she had a good time.
Yeah, she is really good. And, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about a... well, explain exactly what it is, Mike.
It's just basically a high-end driving range where you have your own, kind of
And
set
it's
up.
built up there, and you have to go get up to it by elevator, don't you?
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 different levels. I mean, but basically you kind of have your own like little driving range area where there's like couches and tables, and you have a waitress, and you can have a cocktail, you can have dinner, and basically it's
How long can you stay in that position? I mean, how long? I mean, when you get one of those boxes, how long can you keep it?
I think, there's memberships that are offered. I think members can stay as long as they want to, but I think people that are just general public, I think it's like a time limit somewhere
But you
around.
go up and you order a steak and and a drink or whatever, and then while you're waiting on it, you hit golf balls. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of different than like, going to a bowling alley, because there's actually like, cocktail waitresses and our waiters and waiting on you.
Does it have a main level that you can sit around and watch TV and have a drink?
Yeah, they have
whatever?
stuff like that too. But then they also have targets and different things you can hit on the course. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Well, and it also has a panoramic view of downtown Birmingham too, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it kind of faces out, not really towards downtown. It's kind of facing out just towards the airport that way. But it's really unique. It's nice for Birmingham to have.
Yeah. We're talking about something very unique and really has enhanced downtown Birmingham as far as a place to go to have fun. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a popular place.
Yeah. Of course, we're proud of Troy University's baseball program, and what looks like, going up there and staying 4 days, and I really got a whole view of what big-time college athletics is all about. Looking at Georgia's program, Mike, hey, I'd put Georgia's facilities up against anybody's in the country. They've got an indoor facility.
The only thing they don't have is their basketball arena is real old. Their basketball arena is about as old as Coleman.
Okay, you're right, Mike. And when I walked in it, and I went in it last week, and what they've done, they remodeled the outside of it. It makes it look like an ultra-modern facility. And then when I walked in, they still had those black chairs, which made it dark, all over. And but they have renovated it to make it look good, but they still have it's still real dark. You know how Georgia's you watch them on TV, how dark the court looks.
Yeah, they're thinking about doing the same thing to Coleman. They're basically going to gut all of Coleman Coliseum out, put in brand new bleachers, move it closer to the court, all kinds of new VIP boxes, all kinds of stuff.
Well, Coleman, and the Georgia facility only holds around 9,000, and that surprised me. I thought it would have hold more than that. But
how many does the baseball stadium park hold? It didn't look like it was just massive.
Oh, it wasn't. It wasn't a real large, and they had it would hold probably 5,000. 6,000, 5,000 or 6,000 at most, and they were all chairback seats, so it was that was nice.
I guess the NBA Finals is over. The Warriors went to Cleveland last night, 110 to 102. Kevin Durant scored 43 points. So I would imagine if that series is 3-0, that's probably going to be a sweep now, I would think.
I tried to watch that, and Durant is a great player.
I just didn't have anybody playing with him.
No, that's right. How many did he get last night?
I don't even know how many he got. I'm sure he's probably somewhere in the 40s.
Yeah, and now they did one more game and it's over.
Yeah, one more win.
Yeah. I tried to sit down and watch it, but it was sort of hard to do. I don't know. I just don't get into pro basketball like I used to.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where everybody kind of knew this was going to happen before the season.
I want to congratulate my good friend Merle Sport. He got reelected to his county commission seat in Crenshaw County, and a good friend of mine.
I saw a bunch of his sons when I've been working down in Luverne lately.
Well, I tell you what, he's a go-getter, and he's a good friend of mine, and his family, the Sport family, is very, very well known in Crenshaw County.
Crenshaw Christian hired a football coach. A lot of people know.
And ladies and gentlemen, we'll make this a public announcement. Crenshaw Christian has named one of as their new football coach, Wayne Grant. How about that? One of the great high school football coaches in America, and of course, definitely in the state of Alabama. Mike, you get a Wayne Grant to come coach a football team. That means you got your mind on winning, don't you?
Yeah, they were one win away from playing in Troy for the state championship last year, and got a lot of talent back. And I went to Crenshaw the other day, and they got brand new facilities, as far as athletic offices and lockers and stuff. It's really nice.
Well, their gym, very nice gym. It's a very nice school, and now
Coach Grant, I'm sure will come in there and put his stamp on it, and of course.
You'll have people calling him up on the phone saying, "Coach, can my son come play for you?" That's the kind of coach Wayne Grant is.
Of course, he coached at Pike County, and then he coached at Talladega, and then he coached back at Pike County, and then I think he went to Pike Liberal Arts for a little while. Hadn't been coaching in a while, but I'm sure he'll pick it back up.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to do it as a volunteer coach, and coach just coach, but he is an excellent teacher, Mike. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, you told me that.
He teaches biology. Wayne Grant could have been a doctor just as well as being a football coach. He was an excellent student, and he graduated in the pre-medical degree at Troy. And, of course, he teaches biology, and I don't know if they want him to teach or not, but if they do, they're getting an outstanding teacher to go with it.
You've seen a lot of Wayne Grant teams. What is he? He's just a run option guy, or what is he?
No, what I see is an I backfield with an unbalanced line a lot of times, but he runs off tackle. He's big at just getting the football and running off tackle and making you stop him. And of course, he's not one of these guys that's going to throw it every down. He's going to play solid defense. He's going to keep the football away from you. That's another thing he does. And he's going to just what he brings to the table is something that a lot of coaches don't have, and that is patience.
Yeah.
Did you say that word?
Yeah, I just think that's what I was say.
Hey, patience. He doesn't think he's got to get it all in one play. He's going to take the football, and he's going to go down the field, and he's going to drive for a touchdown, and he's not going to just drop back and throw it and try to score on a big play every down. He's going to keep the football away from you, and is going to play solid defense and control the football. He won state championships at Brundage, Mike. This is no joke. He won state championships at Pike County High School, playing just 17 players.
Yeah, well, you had Chris Nixon, the quarterback that played at Vanderbilt and started at Vanderbilt. I think that was the last state championship team he had, but he always had great athletes too. I mean, look at some of the guys he coached.
Oh yeah. Well, let me tell you this. I can't pick it up as we sit, but there's a Pike County High School helmet sitting right in front of me, and I used to tell him this. I said, "Do you put a helmet in every baby cradle every time a kid's born in Brundage? Do you put that football helmet in the cradle with them?" Because everybody, for years and years and years, every kid that grew up in Pike County or in Brundage, Alabama, they couldn't wait to put that silver helmet on.
Yeah, you had Cornelius Griffin, Quincy Jackson. Yeah. You had all the Hollands, all the Fosters, all the Mahans.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Carlos Carlisle was one of the best players I remember playing against growing up. I mean.
And I make a joke. I make a joke out of this.
Nick Walker that played at Alabama, starting tight end at Alabama.
Oh yeah.
The list goes on and on.
Oh, it really does, and it's all about tradition and so forth. And of course, now he's going to Crenshaw Christian Academy. But
Benny Mahan started as an 8th grader.
Mike, give me Benny Mahan, and I'll play the world. Let me tell you this: Benny Mahan might have been the best. Hey, he might have been one of the best high school football players to ever come out of Pike County. Give me Benny Mahan.
If you would have had Benny Mahan and Willie Collins on the team.
Hey, if you would have had, you are exactly right, son. You give me Willie Collins of Charleston High School and Benny Mahan of Pike County High School, and I'll go up against anybody, maybe a college team.
Yeah, I tell you what, I played with a guy that had all the talent in the world. He signed with Georgia Tech, but if Brian Thomas would have had Benny Mahan's motor,
yeah.
I mean, Brian Thomas would have been playing in the NFL.
Well, I'll tell you something else, too. If Willie Collins had been 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", he would have been a household word. He would have been in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's how good a football player he was.
Of course, you know, we talk about Pike County High School, and, you know, Joey Dennis's dad, of course,
oh, yeah.
his offensive line out there has been coaching with Coach Grant and Coach Hollins for several years, and I guess he was on the state championship team.
He was on the 1980
and the 84 national championship team.
He was on the 80 state championship team at Charles Henderson, their only state championship ever under Jay Jeffcoat. And then 4 years later, he's on Chan Gailey's Troy University national championship team. So his daddy wears 2 championship rings.
But definitely good for Crenshaw Christian, and a lot of really good coaches in that area. I mean, you got Coach Kilcrease down at Brantley. You've got Coach Riles at Luverne, and then I've been working with Highland Home, and Coach Coggins is a really good coach too. And Highland Home went 7-4 last year.
Oh, their program's coming. Hey, listen, you're right.
This year, and they've got a lot of guys coming back, so there's a lot of talent. Crenshaw Christian.
No question about it. Coach Riles at Luverne. Outstanding coach, one of the top offensive coaches around, and I tell you, it's going to be fun. I can't, it'll be here before you know it.
When are you going to get out and start interviewing people? I might have to meet you one day at some schools.
Well, I tell you what, it'll be here before you know it. In fact, high school teams, Mike, can start practicing with a helmet, shorts, and a helmet come next week.
Oh, there's shorts and helmets already. I was out
Are they? Okay.
Watching them practice. Yeah.
So they're already started. Can you believe that? I think that's just too much.
I saw Alan Jones, our good friend's nephew, Jake Wingo, was out coaching linebackers yesterday at Leeds.
Was he really?
Yeah. They're in shorts.
I think it's too much. As much as I love the game, it's too much. I think they ought to let them start in July. That'll be plenty early enough. Let them have June off. Give them a free month. Gosh, crazy.
I was actually out there sizing their players yesterday with cleats, Adidas cleats. They're one of my. I work, Wagner's Team Sports, and they're one of my all Adidas schools, and all the kids were trying on and trying to figure out what they wanted to wear for the upcoming season.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, and again, excuse me for getting so excited about this. This is crazy for high school football to be.
Oh, it's way too much. I never would have played football.
Well, and another thing, why even have spring practice? If you're going to do this,
Yeah, I keep on hearing they're going to probably do away with spring practice, is what I hear.
Well, if they let them start the first week in June, they ought to. And, of course, the heat is unreal. A lot of these kids need to work. Work messes with them in that capacity. The great one, and he's watching today, I hope, Mike, Glenn Daniel, one of the greatest high school coaches of all time, anywhere. He had the most wins ever in the state of Alabama. I think he's the third winningest coach in Alabama football history. He told me that I used to ask him. I said, Coach, I noticed that you don't practice your people twice a day. He said Mike, most of my kids work, and they need to work and help out, and so we practice at night. We'll practice at night and 2 or 3 hours, and that's all I think we need to do.
Yeah, if I wanted to buy groceries at Winn-Dixie's, y'all probably wouldn't be able to pay a lot of bills most of the time.
No, but you know what? Give these kids a break. One day.
Definitely. I mean, let them
one time a day is plenty.
Let them do something.
If you can't get it done in 2.5 hours, you can't get it done. And we're talking about The minute that kid gets there, the minute that kid leaves.
High school are so burned out they don't want to play anymore.
Exactly right. And I talked to a kid yesterday that decided not to play football. He's going to spend most of his time getting ready for baseball season. But you're going to start seeing more and more, Mike, of the athlete that just plays one sport.
Yeah, I think he will.
Well, Mike Amos is calling in from Birmingham this morning.
You'll see kids playing, especially in private schools, you'll just see them play maybe football and baseball.
Exactly right. That day of that guy that plays 3 sports is about gone. Don't you agree?
Yeah, you're going to want a break.
You know, when I was growing up, and I can name them out there right now, all these great.
You played all 3 sports, though, didn't you?
I did, and enjoyed all 3 sports. But I would have probably been better off if we'd had a good, solid weight program, just concentrating on one sport.
You probably couldn't gain any weight, though, could you?
No, I couldn't. And, I tell this story every day, and, these kids now don't play outside like we did. It was just as hot inside as it was outside. So you went outside and you played ball and whatever, you mowed grass and you did, just did things around the house. And then Mama would say, Michael, come to Donna. And Donna was
you're going to tell the story that you drank too much tea.
Well, exactly right. I'd be coming in and she'd have that big old gallon container of sweet tea. And the first thing, and then the big old chops of lemon. The first thing I'd do is grab that big old glass and turn it up. And you know what? The more I drank, the less I ate because I was filling up on tea.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to gain weight, young person, eat your food and then drink your tea. Don't you agree?
Well, I think
if you want to gain weight.
Today, what they make this food out of compared to back when you probably ate a lot more healthier food.
My mother had a 6 or 8 course meal every day. I mean, butter beans,
kind of stuff they put in food.
Shell peas.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot more kids a lot bigger than when you were growing up.
The difference in me and you was you stayed in an air-conditioned house, played all these video games and watched TVs.
God, on Crow Hill, we were outside.
I know. Well, hey, listen, and drinking Coca-Colas and all that, and and
came way later.
And listen, and I was outside having to work. But
we played kickball, baseball, football.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, we were outside having to
spotlight, camped all the time, and we
had to make up things to do. We started playing corkball, and we would have rubber band gun wars, and we'd have tree houses, and when the last time your son said, "Let's build a tree house somewhere and spend the night"? We used to always camp out and so forth and do all those things.
We used to build tree houses all the time because Crow Hill was getting houses built left and right. We always thought that wood was for us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun growing up in those days, and and then at night we'd play ball, and you never in your mind would you be excited about finding a plum tree full of plums. Or going into a garden and with a salt shaker and eating fresh tomatoes or watermelons, or yellow plums. These kids now don't even know what that is.
You remember when we went down to spring training? We went down there as me and Richard Calhoun, and we went to all those baseball games, and we went to an orange orchard, and you told us to get out of the car and run and go get you some oranges.
I know it, and you know what? And if you had been caught, don't tell it. I'd probably still be in jail down there.
But yeah,
that was a bad influence on you boys.
I will say, growing up, we did have those scuffling bushes.
Yeah, scuffnums. Yeah, I love scuffnums. Yeah, and of course, that was the good old days, and. At night we didn't have a lot to do other than go to a ball game or play ball somewhere.
Yeah. Did y'all? When did y'all get TV growing up? How old were you?
We got TV. I would say when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I remember.
There's only like 3 or 4 channels.
I remember walking around the corner to Mr. Stanley Graves' house on Friday night to watch the Friday night boxing on TV because we didn't have a TV, and a lot of people didn't have a TV, and then I can remember going to Wright Price Appliance Store, which is right next to our drugstore, Cinco Drugstore on North 39th Street. Wright Price Appliance Store would have a TV, and they'd put it up on and people would actually go to Wright Price and watch TV.
You got a call coming in?
I got a call coming in. I'll talk to you later here.
All right.
You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, this Max. How you this morning?
Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm on a tandem here this morning, Max.
Go for it.
These high schools are overdoing it with the game of football. I mean, this is crazy to let these coaches start coaching these guys the first week in June.
Well, I think that goes back to the administration, Mike, of making the rules.
But don't you think it's too much, Max? I mean, man, back when we used to start in the first day in August was plenty, it seemed like.
But I think, Mike, here's the difference in that, really. And it can be overdone. I don't think it's any doubt. But the kids are in better shape than they were when we came along. I mean, it's a year-round practice now. We had to use the first 2 weeks for conditioning. These kids stay in condition the year-round now.
That's right.
Programs. They got better. They got better nutrition. There's the changing of the program, I think, is what has elevated that.
Let me see if you grew up like I did. We're talking to Max Howell, ladies and gentlemen, one of the great coaches and one of the outstanding football minds I know, and of course is now in the radio business for a long time and talk radio. Hey, you would have cried, Max. I was riding through Atlanta, coming back from Athens, Georgia last week. It was this past week, and they brought out your old show, The Game. What was the name of it?
What are you talking about? 680, The Fan?
Yeah, The Fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course they evidently that name is still out there. Is that right?
Oh yeah, they're having in November, Mike. I'm going up. They're having their 25th anniversary.
And you were one of the ones that started that program, didn't you?
I was the original on-the-air guy, and I got a notice the other day invited back to a weekend-long affair, I'd say, in Atlanta, Georgia. In the sports talk, Mike, you listen to it around the country. It's changed also.
It really has. It really has, and I think for the worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with
because
that.
I used to love to hear the folks call in and ask legitimate questions,
Sure. Yeah, and rather than so much opinion.
Yeah.
Call-in shows today are few and far between. A couple of things. First of all, the hosts don't want to do their homework, in my opinion.
That's right.
They'd rather sit there behind the mic and express, all their philosophy about why things happen the way they are. And I do know that I do believe that there's room for that, but not to dominate.
No.
The Fan out there, that's why the name of the Fan was chosen for that radio station, because they wanted to hear from the fans, and there was nothing like that, Mike, in Atlanta, Georgia in the early 90s.
Yeah. Jim Fife, the late Jim Fife,
yes.
was a great talk show guy,
yes, he was.
And of course, Max Howell and brought talk radio to Atlanta. You would think that Atlanta would just be full of talk radio shows as far as sports, but they're not. It's still a wide open deal over there, isn't it?
It is. And I'll tell you that one of the bottom line, Mike, is just like every other industry. It's all about the money. They have to pay those guys. Even when I left there, the salaries proportionally of what the average guy makes was way out of state. They were paying us way more money than I ever made before in my life.
Just picture this. Just picture this scenario. All right, you came on in the morning at what time?
I was on at 6.
All right, 6 in the morning or 6 at night?
did 2 different shows. I did 6 to 10 for a while. Then I moved from 10 to 2.
Yeah.
Midday. That was my 2 shifts.
And of course, you were talking to a huge base of fans. You know, most of them were on the highways trying to get somewhere on the interstates, and they had to have something to do, so they turned on your show. But then, all right, here it is. You're working early morning, then you're working 2 or 3 hours at noon, and then at night you going and doing all these commercial spots. These
absolutely, and did remotes. A lot of sports bars had us in, like for
exactly, doing your remotes, yeah.
Right, during happy hour, see.
Exactly.
And I will tell you, Arbitron ratings after about 1994 was showing our show had about 400,000 listeners every day.
Oh, it was unreal, and then all that promotion. I mean, how in the world could you? You hardly ever made it home until almost midnight, didn't you?
I did, Mike. That was a problem.
I mean, it was hard to be married and be able to work a kind of schedule you had.
It wasn't, but you know what, Mike? That was the overcompensation paying us for that. That was the reason they felt like the station felt like they could ask us to keep doing it, because they were paying us big time money to go and do that. And I think that was a lifestyle choice.
Oh yeah,
it's like coaching. You got to make that choice, because if you don't have the right partner, when you do that, I can promise you, you'll be single very soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I used to call in sometimes on that show. I'd say, Max, this is Mike Amos coming from Troy. Then I'd say, Max, you remember me, Mike Amos? I played for you, and I've known you a long time. Hey, man, you were big time.
Mike, I tell you, those were the days we were. That thing blew up bigger than we thought, even on the inside. We had no idea it would get that big that quick.
And of course, you were right in the middle of Atlanta, and you had all these professional baseball and football folks in there, and you rubbed shoulders with all those guys, didn't you?
Well, listen, we covered the Braves and the Falcons. I did for like 10 years.
I mean, I bet you had 10 tickets to every game, didn't you?
Oh, listen, I was in the dressing room. The good thing about that was we had press box passes and parking passes and all that. But the good thing, we were at the epitome when the Braves with the World Series, and they had Glavine and Maddox and Avery.
Oh yeah.
And Oaks and had the best.
You were there during the heyday of Atlanta baseball, weren't you?
Absolutely right. And this one, I tell the story, Mike. What was so funny? I got there in 1993, and Ted Turner had just bought the Braves, I believe, in maybe 90. And he was trying to really do some promotion. He was doing all kind of crazy stuff to change the atmosphere about professional baseball in Atlanta. So we called down there and asked them, okay, tonight's, they got the Red Sox coming in, for example. We said, what time's the game? And the lady run in and followed. She said, what time can you get here? I'm telling you, it was different in those days than it is today.
I was over there, worked over there during the days that Black Label was located in Atlanta. You remember that Carling Black Label? And then that was when the Braves had just moved to Atlanta, and then of course you were there during the heyday. Out of all those great people, talking about Necros and the Glavines and all these great players that came through Atlanta. Tell us some stories about some of them, Max. Were they good guys, or were some of them prima donnas?
I think they were people, Mike. You got to know them, and they had they knew they were at the top. I will tell you, probably Greg Maddox was the most reserved of the group, and I thought maybe it might have been the best pitcher of the bunch as well. He wouldn't do interviews before a ball game. Bobby Cox would let us roam around the dressing room, but the pitchers had a separate dressing room had a putting green in there, so the guys could kind of putt around with a golf club and all, and kind of relax. But I think Maddox probably was the most reserved. Glavine was okay. He and I had our disagreements about. He was the president of the Players Association the year that I want to think now, somewhere in the late 90s, that they chose to sit out, and he would not give us an interview about that. I go back on John Smoltz probably had the worst personality of the group. He didn't everybody, and there was. But I want to tell you the best one of all that though was Phil Necro. I mean, he loved the spotlight. After he went in the Hall of Fame, he'd come on the show. He'd call us from his fishing boat in the morning. He'd be out on the lake fishing somewhere, and he'd call in and do a segment of the show.
Yeah, he was a real guy. You know, his son actually played at Troy at one time under Riddle, and he used to come to the games. Of course, this was after he retired and everything. But Max, you're a great person to ask this question. You had Glavine, you had Maddox, and you had Smoltz in the same team, in the same rotation. All three of them became Hall of Famers. Out of those three, wasn't there some jealousies there? It had to be.
Yeah, it was. But, you know, I tell you, the guy that gets no credit for all of that, and he had his own problems, Bobby Cox.
Yeah.
He had his own personal problems. I don't know whether you remember.
No, I didn't know that.
Had some problems, and, I mean, Bobby had some really, but I'm going to tell you what he did, Mike. He was as good as I've ever seen in managing egos.
Yeah.
He really was. He could handle it as well. I never heard him raise his voice. He didn't shout and cuss and throw stuff. It was a matter of not getting too high and not getting too low.
You know, they were so good back then, all they had to do was go out on the field. People don't realize this. Cox was in the World Series how many years in a row?
Oh my gosh! I mean,
it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was, but he didn't win but one, Mike. And let me tell you why. We used to write and talk about this all the time in Atlanta. Then Steve Avery was the fourth guy that rotated in and out.
Yeah.
Out of those three, you know, with the three Glaberns.
Yeah.
But the team itself was, you know, Jeff Blauser. I remember Jeff. Jeff was a shortstop. Jeff was not a great player, but he was adequate. But the attitude was this: as long as one of those guys is on the mound, you know, we're going to win the ball game. But let me tell you what: you go back and check the record book, see how many games they lost 2-1. They could not get enough run support.
Yeah.
They could sit up there and throw it from, you know, they could throw it 100 miles an hour, or they could, you know, paint the corners or wherever. There's one rule that came up, and I don't know whether you remember this or not. One season, they decided to get the fans involved, so they mounted a camera up plate so you could read, you know, you could get a chance to see how the umpire was calling.
Yeah.
Maddox was getting 6 inches outside the corners every time.
Yeah.
They took the camera down.
Well, during the same time, now let me see if I get this right. During, you know, you had Clements and you know, Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz, but you had the big, tall, rangy home run hitter. What was his name?
Oh, Chipper Jones?
No, not Chipper. Now Chipper came later, didn't he, or was he there at the same time?
Chipper was a rookie out of Jacksonville, Florida. He came. I think he spent 1 year in the minors and went straight to the pros, straight to the big leagues.
And he did play at the same time with Glavine and Maddox and
yeah.
Of course, you know, Chipper was
around. They moved him around. He was started off being a third baseman. Then
that's
they
right.
Moved him to short. Then they put him in the outfield. He was a utility player. Of course, he's a Hall of Famer too.
Yeah. Oh, no question. He was. You know, out of all the, I'm gonna throw this out to you. And then the other one was what was the great tall 6'5" guy that?
You're talking about Dale Murphy?
Dale Murphy, yeah.
No, that was before. No, Dale was before those guys.
All right, Dale was before that, but everybody loved Dale Murphy. I'm going to throw out this right here. And then you had the great third baseman that hit so many home runs, hit 4 in one game. What's his name?
Well, then you start.
I know it. But out of all those guys right there, Murphy, Chipper Jones, Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine, who would you think would be the most popular in that group?
I think they all had their little. That's a great question. They had their little groups of popularity. They were all, you know. Rarely, I will say this: you rarely ever saw them out together.
Yeah.
Most of them.
That was what I was trying to get at. I was trying to get at. They all had to have egos. Who had the worst ego of the bunch?
John Smoltz by far.
Yeah, Smoltz.
Hey, Mike, listen to this. John Smoltz built this big old house up there in the new subdivision. I mean, about $3 or $4 million.
Yeah.
And his lot, he had a big lot. So another guy came in and built a house you know, I'd say 50 yards from him.
Yeah.
And the shadow of the guy's chimney covered his wife when his wife was in the pool.
Yeah.
He sued the guy.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, to tear down my house because the shadow during the afternoon.
I hope he didn't win. Did he win? I hope not.
Oh, they finally threw it out.
Yeah.
And he moved. Judge folks ended up moving from there.
But what we're saying, ladies and gentlemen, Max Howell was right in the middle of all of this, and now let me ask you this, people think that baseball is so cut and dry. I mean, they shot pool in the dressing rooms. They had the pool tables. They had a refrigerator full of beer. I mean, they drank beer in the dressing room, didn't they?
Oh yeah, yes they did. Oh yeah.
And they had somebody also told me that that they had buffet meals brought in there 2 and 3 times a day.
Yeah, let me just tell you, Mike, the dressing room for a professional baseball team like that is not like a football or any other sport, or basketball. It's kind of loosey-goosey and
a lot of sitting around, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and they got guys that play practical jokes on you. I mean, guys go to their locker. They had to be real careful. A lot of them did on what they put on because somebody would have filled their jock straps with hot sauce and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It was a circus now, particularly those teams that were winning and playing well when there was a lot of talent on it.
Now, Smoltz and Murphy were around about the same time, weren't they? No, not Smoltz, but not Smoltz, but Necro and Murphy.
No, Necro was there. He was in the early parts.
That's right. Yeah.
Phil Necro played at about 3 or 4 of the franchises.
Yeah.
Other than the Braves, I mean, Phil chose to end up.
And he won over 300 games throwing a knuckleball. How about that?
Right, he did.
Over 300 games throwing a knuckleball.
Yeah, he was a very unique personality, and everybody. I don't know if anybody didn't like Phil Necro.
What kind of fella was then Hank Aaron? What kind of fella was he?
Oh, yeah. Well, Hank came along. This is the funny story. What is 1974, I believe, that he actually broke the record of the home run. And the last time we used to do surveys of how many people were at the stadium, the last number we counted was like 3 million. Said they were there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For that last home run.
But Hank had been around a while, and he was moving up. He chose to.
But he was not a prima donna type guy. He was a classy guy, wasn't he?
He was almost a recluse. The popularity never fazed him.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think he liked it personally. He knew he was talented. He had a lot of confidence, but his give back to the game was being working in the front office in his popularity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's. I mean, I know that's how you knew him, but being around the Braves, you had to have gotten to interview him a few times over the years.
Very quiet. I mean, very quiet. You had to bring the talk out of it.
All right, the days of those guys, Aaron, Ernie Banks, all they did was hit with their wrist. You remember that?
Yeah.
They didn't take giant cuts at the ball. They just whammed with their wrist. They just jacked it out of there.
Just talented, unbelievable, Mike. That's something you can work on to improve.
Did you ever see Eddie Matthews at all? I'm talking about these guys are coming back. Just in the locker rooms and
business. Yeah, I'm sure we come by. I wish we had a chance to see them all. Remember,
guy named Lou Burdette. Did you ever see Lou Burdette?
All those guys would come back through, from time to time, particularly in the off season. Now, listen to this. It was where you got to know them, and always at the golf tournaments. In the fall after the season was over, in the early spring before we went to spring training, or when they came back on an off day, most of them played golf.
Atlanta has changed a lot. It's so darn big now, but back when you were there and before you were there, and of course back, a player, each player had 2 or 3 places that they hung out at, and they were good for business. These guys, these business owners, these bar owners and restaurant owners would actually pay them to come in and mingle with a group. They don't do that anymore. You remember that?
They don't, absolutely. And I know, because a lot of those nights I'd end up there mainly just to try to get a
exactly
interview or get a chance to talk to them a little bit out in a different environment.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Mike, a lot of people don't realize, those guys would change their persona from being around the team as to when they were out by themselves or out with a group of their friends. They were different people. And that was so much fun for me to get a chance to see both, see them.
Exactly. Whether you wanted to or not, Max, you were sort of a celebrity, and you didn't, and that just came with the job, didn't it?
Well, the job was the celebrity part.
Yeah.
We talked about that now, and those guys that are still there, John Kincaid, Buck Bellew, those guys have been around, Chuck Oliver, all those guys have been with us on 680, and those are still there, doing shows there. And and they chose to make their lifestyle in Atlanta, Georgia. And hats off to them. I got to the point in my career that when we had an economic turn down, that I felt like I could. That's when I left Atlanta, moved to Destin, Florida, and opened up a new radio network down there. I thought maybe I could carry some of that popularity, but it was all about Atlanta and all about 680.
Well, and again, gosh, you had no question about it. You had everybody that was driving home from work, and that's what talk radio is about. You don't hear many people saying, "Well, I was listening to talk radio in my den." Once they got home in the den, they turned the TV on. But when they were out in traffic, everybody listened to talk radio.
Very true, and I think that's been the longevity of 680 and the other. I think 790 is still over there, maybe one or two others.
Mags, you met a lot of folks, and of course, you and Hunker Down Dogs were good friends, weren't you?
Oh yeah, Larry Munson was as good as it was now. You love to get on the air with and get him to tell stories.
Yeah,
he could tell them. He was he was excellent.
And of course he would chime in on some of y'all's talk shows sometime, and in fact y'all would have him on during football season every year, every week, wouldn't you?
Well, Larry, for a while Larry worked for WSB, Mike, and I was there during this time. Larry Munson was the WSB sports guy.
Yeah.
That was a big radio station owned by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Cox family. WSB had a big, powerful signal, and Larry was on it. He would go call the games, and they paid him about $1,000 a game. Now, this was like in the early days.
That was pretty good bit back then, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but let me tell you what. About, I won't say 95, 96, a good friend of ours up there that was kind of the local attorney for all the celebrities in town, got a hold of Larry, and he flipped him over and became employee of the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
And you know what he got? He went from 1,000 a game to 10,000 a game.
Isn't that amazing?
They'd send a helicopter to Atlanta to take him to Athens, or they'd send a limo to pick him up and take him to the airport if they were traveling.
But everybody wanted to listen to him in college football. But when he did pro games, I didn't think he was very effective as a pro announcer.
No, he wasn't. But Mike, let me tell you one. But you know what he did before that? He had his own fishing show out of Nashville.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so you knew Larry Munson well, and of course we just lost a guy, ladies and gentlemen, in sports that was a giant in basketball, and that was C.M. Newton. And he died this week at the age of 88. But C.M. Newton was about as classy a basketball guy as there was around, wasn't he?
No doubt about that, Mike. He meant so much, and I'm glad. I know he had a little influence with the NBA, but he had way more influence with the college game.
Oh, no question.
I think there are very few. I don't know of a personality still in the industry that was is. I think being congenial and being,
He had class. He just had class, didn't he?
When you sit and talk to him, it don't matter if there's 1,000 people around. If you sit and talk to him or stood and talked to him, he had all his focus on you.
All right, another very good friend of yours is Wimp Sanderson. And ladies and gentlemen, Wimp Sanderson might not have been Wimp Sanderson as he is today if he had not coached under C.M. Newton. Isn't that right?
I agree. He inherited the team that C.M. He ended up he was an assistant there, and he ended up taking the head basketball.
And of course, Wimp Sanderson
Wimp stayed employed employed at Alabama for 35 years.
Yeah. Boy, and when and I really believe that he left and had Alabama at the top of the world in college basketball, and then he had under some terrible circumstances that left the game of college basketball. But no telling how good those Alabama teams would have been for 5 years after he left. Don't you agree?
No, I'm telling you that he did things.
Because Wimp knew how to recruit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did it, and nobody's been able to do that since.
Yeah.
Not at Alabama. I mean, he just had his personality is, and he's so funny. When you sit and talk to him, you think he's the most calm guy. And,
yeah, oh yeah.
When he got in a competitive situation, you better hold on.
Oh yeah, no question. And those plaid jackets. Listen, people say, "Oh man, look at that jacket." I wish I had one. I love those plaid jackets.
At one time, I talked to him about that once. At one time, he realized he and his wife realized that had become somewhat of a trademark.
Yeah.
He said he had 120 of them in his closet at one time.
Well, and at one time the free throw line inside the free throw line was plaid. I mean the whole gym was decorated in plaid.
He was a unique personality that and everybody loved to see him on that sideline. He'd rip that jacket off and throw it to the floor.
Oh yeah, and that snarl. And one time they gave out hand fans that have his picture on it and had a hole in it, and people would put it up in front of their faces, and the whole 14,000 people would have the face of Wimp.
Absolutely right.
But that was marketing. That was great marketing. Alabama filled it up 15,000 every game.
Yeah, that's very true. And of course, Coleman Coliseum, has a movement underway now to build a new Coliseum. But all Alabama does, they want to preserve that, and they just keep renovating it to make it. And Avery Johnson, we've had a lot to do with Avery Johnson coming there as a basketball coach. I'll tell you that. But Avery still hadn't quite gotten the amount of talent that wants to get. And I won't be honest and tell you why. In my opinion, and I've talked to others about this, Mike. A lot of those great ones still want to go to Kentucky and to Kansas and, into the big basketball schools because on campus, the football players at Alabama still get all the recognition because of that success there.
Exactly.
And that's one of the reasons it's very hard. Because if you really stop and think, it's not about being able to recruit in the campus and the program and all that. It's got a lot of history to it. But they can't get 5 guys that can go to the NBA anymore since Wimp left.
Yeah.
They've never had that. So I think there's still some underlying problems that they've got to work out at Alabama with the basketball.
And I tell you what, when Wimp was in the radio business with his old cohort from Auburn, Sonny Smith. Now, Sonny Smith's another great guy now. He is a great guy. You've ever dealt with him much?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I used to either be on or if I had my show, I'd have them on together. The Wimp and Sonny show was...
I mean, it was great. Man, it really was. Of course, Sonny he coached Barkley at Auburn, and then of course Wimp coached all these great players at Alabama, and they had great rivalries, but they remained very good friends, didn't they?
Very much so, Mike. Very much so. And Wimp had that about his personality. I mean, Jimmy Raines, chairman of the board of trustees at Auburn.
Yeah.
When Wimp needed a job after all of the debacle at Alabama.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, he went straight to Abbeville and sit out there in the lobby of Yellowwood.
Yeah. If it don't say Osmos on this yellow tag, believe you me, you don't want it.
Absolutely.
And he hired Pat Dye too. He had a lot of good. And you know what? They call him. They say he's the wealthiest man in Alabama now. Did you know that?
Very true. Yes, I did.
But he did it by using coaches as his. And you put Jimmy Raines in there with all those coaches.
Ask Larry Blakeney about it.
Yeah, no question about it.
I was on a plane in Seattle, Washington, one year, and I get on the plane and look back there, and there's Larry Blakeney and about 10 coaches.
They're going fishing, weren't they? They were going fishing, weren't they?
Fishing in Canada. Yeah,
exactly. They went every year.
They sure did.
Sure did. They had a lot of fun. Now, let me tell you, I've got Larry Blakeney coming on this football season. Don't you think that'd be fun on a Monday? Hear Larry Blakeney analyze college football?
Well, his name just came up also for the college Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And boy, you talking about?
I think he'll go in. I really do.
A feather in his hat, and what he did, taking a team from Division 2 to Division 1A. Very few coaches in America have done that. Is that right?
Very few, Mike, that stayed at one place that long.
Yeah.
They really dedicated his life to building that program. And Larry's another guy that's just, you talk about down to earth, just a good guy. And I remember well him playing at Auburn, and he was involved with the private schools for a while, and then ended up going back to Auburn, and then from Auburn he came to Troy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where he stayed.
And let me tell you this, there's a story behind every great coach and great person, and I'm sure Larry could write a book, no question, about his experiences. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Max, we want to talk about the most important time of the year that people don't realize is this past week with all these football camps and how college coaches trap these players, and we want to talk about that right after these messages.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Here at Town & Country, we are proud to be an American.
We've had you covered on the inside since 2005, and with our addition of Southern Grill and Patio, we now have you covered on the outside. Come see our great selection, where we make sure grilling and relaxing go hand in hand.
Welcome to Trojan Detail.
Hey, I've been hunting. I got my truck filtered. Can you get it?
We surely can. We do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet and Troy Nissan.
You do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet?
Yes, we do.
Hey, I got a motorcycle.
We do them as well.
Tori Dunn from Dixie Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure did.
Billy Johnson. I know you're not bringing them cow trucks, okay?
I do, and they're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
I'm here at Trojan Detail getting my car detailed.
Bring your vehicle to Trojan Detail. We do it all.
Napa know-how. Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time.
Know-how, Napa know-how. At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Camp.
Yeah.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by BB&T on the Bypass. And also, I want to mention my good friends at Max Federal Credit Union, one of our new sponsors, and we appreciate all those folks. And of course, Max Federal Credit Union is one of the largest credit unions in the state of Alabama. Of course, I want to mention our good friends at Dixieland Dental, located 9 miles north of Dothan on Highway 231. Dr. Michael's Precise, Dr. John Strength, Dr. David Strength, and our good friend Dr. Robert Precise. And they make up one of the largest dental clinics in Alabama. The Withington Groups, my good friends, Johnny Withington, and of course, been in the insurance business a long time. Remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. See Perry Green at the Withington Group right here in Troy. And also, I want to mention All-Star Collision and my good buddy out there. And boy, what a great job they do. If you got nicks and cracks in your vehicle, I promise you they'll make it look new again at All-Star Collision on located right between Pike County Ford and Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealership right here in Troy on the bypass. Max Howell is our guest, and of course, Max, it was fun to ad-lib, and I can ad-lib with you anytime because you've had so many experiences, you've met so many different people. But, you know, there are different times of the year that are very important to college football coaches and teams. And a lot of people don't realize that this past week, most of the teams in the country have had their team camps, or and they've invited all their prospects to come to camp. Is that right?
Yeah, this is a scenario, Mike. Normally, what they'll do the first, usually that first week.
Coffee, please.
It's basically what it is the camps that the big numbers that you saw are those where they invite teams, whole schools to come in, let the Booster Club, pay $20 a head or whatever they
do.
Yeah,
oh, it's a money thing, I'm sure.
It is, and then but from that, the invitation only camp is the most important. That's the next one they'll have sometime about mid to late June. That's when they'll pick out about 20 or 25 kids.
The guys they want to sign, is that right?
Exactly right, and that's by invitation only. And they'll have 5 wide receivers and 6 quarterbacks and 2-3 running backs. It's all specifically by design of what they're looking for the next year. Then I hate to say this, but that becomes a tryout camp.
Oh yeah.
They can't put the pads on and off, but they put a headgear and shorts on them, and they can get their time and their bench press and get all the intangibles measured. And then they get a chance to go 7-on-7 with them with defensive backs and wide receivers, so they can actually look at them in a competitive situation. And it won't be but 25 or 30 of them there.
But the sad thing about it, Max, and I know you as a former college football coach might agree or disagree, is they'll bring that guy in at the end of the camp, and Coach Saban or whoever the coach is, Malzahn or whoever it is, and he's going to tell that kid, he said, son, out of all the tight ends out there that are available, you're the one we want. But I got to know something today. You got to go ahead and commit to us today. And this kid that's 16, 17, 18 years old just got back from beach week, from the beach after his junior year is over, and here they are telling him that, hey, I've got to make that kind of decision within a day or within hours.
Let me give you the other side of that. I'm going to give you two scenarios. Let's say, okay, the kid says, yes, sir, Coach, I appreciate that and I want that. Now, this is June. He's got another high school year. He's not going to sign till either November or February of next year.
That's right.
He could be re-recruited by 10 other schools by then. A commitment is just
That's right. It's just a promise. Is that right?
But if something else better comes along, let me just give you something. On both sides, let's just say he was at Georgia and Kirby says, you're our guy, you're going to be the guy. Up to this point, he was the guy. But let's just say all of a sudden another guy in California comes available that they like. I'm telling you what happens. They'll call that kid and says, look, we still want you, but we're going to have to take another tight end in this respect. Just want you to understand that. You still have an opportunity to break the commitment and go somewhere else, or you can still come on and compete.
Yeah.
Those are the scenarios that work out. The difference is, Mike, between in your background and mine, before I really got involved at that level, is that we valued those commitments based on what they were. Today, major college football is a big time business, and I'm telling you, it's all about getting the talent there. Kirby Smart spent 15 years with the best in the business in Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And they are able to. But I will give them this. When those commitments are broken many, many times, and I can cite some examples for you, where those kids are being recommended by those coaches to other schools.
Yeah.
Because they don't leave the kid hanging. They understand if he's...
Well, I hope not. If they've got any class about him at all.
But you know what, Mike? You never hear about that.
But Max, within the next week to 10 days, you're going to start seeing these. It's going to be Johnson commits to Alabama.
Absolutely
Breedlove's commits to Auburn. Because these coaches want to get it all out that, hey, they have committed to me. He's ours. But that's not true.
I'll tell you, Mike, I ran the recruiting office.
They make you think that you're their only resort, but it's not, is it?
The job a staff has, Mike, is once that kid commits, is to keep him. That's the hardest job. It's not recruiting him the first time. It's to keep him.
And a lot of people don't realize those coaches are still calling him every day. Don't you agree?
I mean, whatever the rule will allow, I think they've got it down there where you can't talk to them, X number of times. But the point is, you're right. The other coaches, if the kid was good enough to commit to Alabama, for example, and Alabama wants that commitment, that means he's good enough to play anywhere else in the country.
But this is the new way they do it. It hadn't always been this way with all these camps. But normally, most everybody, once you see the recruits on the dotted line, most every one of them went to that team's camp. Don't you agree?
Oh, no doubt. You can't get. Let me tell you something. Two things you can't do. One, if they don't come to camp, rarely are you ever going to get the commitment. First of all, from the university asking to commit. Second is, if you don't get him on campus and let him see what else is going on, either through an official visit or through a camp, you could never sign him.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the kid has to understand that he's going to feel comfortable. And here's the thing from the college standpoint. If those coaches can't do a good enough job at selling their program and the kid feeling at home, all that time and effort is wasted.
Yeah.
Because once the kid gets there, he'll leave.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
But it's awfully, just think how hard it would be for Nick Saban to say, son, we want you. We want to go ahead and get you to commit to our program right now. We want you. How hard will Malzahn at Auburn's hounding him every day? The coach at Georgia's hounding him every day. Southern Cal's hounding him every day. But then when he sits down with Saban, he's got to make a decision. He's got to tell Nick Saban no, and that's hard to do.
Mike, it is, but let me tell you, these kids today have been through that since they were in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
I can tell you. They already know. Those kids that get to that level, it's no, just coming back from the beach and having to make a hard. They've already made their mind up. Sometimes the kids play the system just like the coaches do.
Yeah.
They'll play, say, yeah, coach, I want to come here. I want to hear, but the next week he's at, he's at Oregon.
And who gets the last decision on all of this is that kid's mama or grandmama.
There's always somebody in the family.
Hey, I guarantee you though, that kid won't be making that decision. In most cases, it's his mama, isn't it?
It's a lot of times it is, or it's a grandmother or an aunt or somebody else in the family.
And the good recruiters know how to reach those people, don't they?
Absolutely right. Talk to Will Sanderson about that. He'll be the first to tell you. Yeah, I know. I want this kid to go, but I'm going to see his aunt first. I'm going to see his grandmama first before I even talk to the kid.
You know something? A good friend of mine was being recruited by Alabama as a possible coach a few years ago, and Nick Saban asked Johnny Williams about him, and so forth. And you know what Nick told Johnny? He said, "I don't care if he can coach. Can he recruit?" Right. Hey, he'll find a way to coach him, but can he recruit? And the great.
You go back and look, Mike, and the philosophy is that what Coach Bryant said: you can't make a chicken pie out of chicken.
Yeah, that's right.
If you don't have the players, if you don't have the great talent there, it doesn't matter. You can't win it all.
That's right.
What it's all about.
But of course, this is a big time of the year, ladies and gentlemen, where a lot of these kids have already have made their commitment to where they're going to play, and it's a busy time for college football coaches. People think that it's spring practice is over. That's the time after spring practice is when they really got to work, isn't it?
That's right, absolutely right. They all break. And here's where they're not just working on next year; they're working 2 to 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
They're looking at that sophomore out there.
Exactly right, no question about it.
If they play in baseball in the summer, or if they're on an intramural basketball team or AAU team, the coaches are watching those kids, getting tapes on them, and looking at them as an athlete first and foremost.
No question about it.
That's why it's a 12-month-a-year job now. I think if you sign on, if you've taken an assistant job, and I know this because I've had a couple of good friends that work for Nick Saban, you're going to get about a week and a half off in a year, and that can't be all at one time. And you're going to work, you're going to come into the office at 7 in the morning and work till 6 or 7 at night in the summertime. other things you got to do other than just coach football.
You know, right before I left to go to the baseball tournament last Thursday, a week ago today, I rode by the athletic facility here at Troy, and they had 400 kids at their camp. All of them had these beautiful red shirts, and which I think they can give them a jersey. Isn't that right?
They can.
They give them a few things. And I mean, they were sharp. God, it was a colorful thing. And they had 400 kids at camp. Well, when I got to Georgia on Friday, before the game on Friday, I went in that new indoor facility they have, which is just unreal. I don't know if there's an indoor facility in the country that could compare with it. Inside that facility it was burning up outside. Walked in, you could almost freeze in this giant place. But they were having a camp. They had 600 kids at that camp, and they were dressed out with all these different helmets on. And like you said, it was a team camp. But like you said, and Max reiterated, that's for show. Any kid that wanted to could go to that camp, and they make money. They'll probably charge $500 to $1,000 a kid. The schools make money that way. But the big time is when they get that personal invitation to come to camp, and then it gets down to real serious business, doesn't it?
It absolutely is, and that's the one. And normally you can't. That's not open to the public. They don't usually let the media come into that.
Yeah.
They may get a chance to interview a couple of kids on before or after. Yeah. But it's just like a regular practice during the season, Mike.
But you know something though, Max. Something that we talked about, that it looks like a commitment though holds stronger than it ever has before. I've seen you don't see as many decommitments as you used to.
Well, here's what happens: the kids have gotten smart, Mike.
Usually if there's going to be a decommitment, it's on behalf of the university. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And you can remember this: the kids get 5 trips. They get 5 paid-for trips by 5 different universities to come on an official visit. We have to remember the location. We're in the South. Many of these kids, they've never been out of their state. A lot of them never been out of their county.
That's right.
If they're a great athlete, they're going to make, if it's an Emmett Smith or a Hersh Walker or a guy like that, they're going to take their trips to the West Coast. They're going to take their trips to the big.
And, and then for a lot of them, like Southern Cal wants that kid, but this kid's scared to get on a jet plane. And a lot of folks are that way.
Look, I worked with one over here. He's the best running back in the state of Mississippi last year. He could have gone anywhere in America he wanted to. He lives in West Point, which is just 20 miles from Starkville.
Yeah.
He's such a homebody. He wouldn't even take a trip. He committed early. Gets 6'1", 190 pounds, scored 45 or 50 touchdowns this past year. Ran a 4.4 as a running back and quarterback. Of course, he looks like he'll be an All-American free safety is what he'll be. But the fact, I'm giving you this point to tell you, he didn't want to go anywhere. He's a homebody. His family lives there. He straight commit to Mississippi State, and he never took a trip anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere in America that he wanted to go.
And think of how much fun it will be to go on all 5 of those trips and have people make you think that you're the greatest thing they ever walked.
Absolutely.
And they tell you all these things, whether or not they're the truth or not, but they treat you like royalty. But once you make your commitment or once you sign that letter, it's all over with, isn't it?
Well, let me tell you, once you get to not so much. Let me tell you when it's all over. The first day of practice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
With most of them, we don't even know their name.
Yeah.
22, get over here, number 22.
Bud Casey recruited a kid one time to go to. He said, "Man, I want to take you to Oklahoma with me." And Bud was coaching at Oklahoma A&M at the time, or Northeast Oklahoma. And when the guy got there, he said, "I thought we were going to the University of Oklahoma." He said, "No, I never told you that.
I never said that.
I just said I wanted to take you to Oklahoma."
Yeah,
and he ended up playing the 4 years at that little school in Oklahoma.
I will tell you, Mike, when I was at Florida State, we brought them from the West Coast everywhere. We told them this is FSU, and we're in Florida, and it's a great lifestyle. We got beaches and all that stuff. Well, I never said that FSU was on the beach. I said, well, it's about 50 50 miles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you, it's an exciting time of the year, and all these 7-on-7s, Max, they're having a huge 7-on-7 deal here in Troy next week, and you know, these schools make money bringing in all these schools, but college, I don't know if they allow college scouts to go out there or not. I know there's certain rules, but you can see right there the talent that's out there, you know.
Let me tell you, they not only, Mike, they have state championships and they have national championships.
Yeah, 7-on-7.
Absolutely. Hoover High School up in Birmingham is going to host the national champions this year.
Now, let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all were doing 7-on-7s at Troy back in 1968.
In the 60s, you're right.
And all it was you lay out your offensive backs and wide receivers, and then you'd go up against the linebackers and safeties and corners. Isn't that right?
That's very true. Very true.
But it is something that, and I've got this thing though. I just think it's way too much on these kids. They'll, like I said, they'll go to the beach, and once they come back from the beach, it's all work from there on out.
But Mike, let me tell you, just remember this: you're judging it based on the way you came through.
That's right.
It's a different world out there today, bud. I'm telling you, it's a whole different world.
You know what I think they're doing more than anything? And, you know, I used to worry about gaining weight. Shoot, gaining weight's a piece of cake for a major college football player. Isn't that right?
Oh, listen,
I mean, the food is unbelievable.
And let me just tell you the other side of that is you talk about the kids. So many of those kids are being pushed by their parents. I mean, you want to know why there's that much anticipation? Because the parents want them to be there.
Oh, yeah.
They know that there's a free ride there in everybody's mind. In that elite bunch that is recruited.
And if you can't gain weight, that's why you see so many of these 6'4", 240 guys. The next year they weigh 6'4", 310. I mean, the food that they get now, Max, is you don't even compare with what it used to be.
Why no? I mean, they couldn't go to the student center and get an egg sandwich in the morning.
I know it. Exactly right, and we loved it too back in those days.
And no doubt.
And you know, people were laughing this morning about me talking about sweet tea. But Max, how many times did you fill up on sweet tea before you started eating in the summertime?
I'm telling you, that was a staple for us.
People don't even know what sweet tea is compared to back then, but you remember how you'd come in from the yard, whether you're mowing grass or you were playing outside, your mama said, come on in to lunch or eat to Dunna. That's what everybody call it, Dunna. Come to Dunna, and there'd be a big old gallon of sweet tea there, and you drink all of it before you started eating, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you drink one glass before you sit down to eat.
Exactly.
Then you go from there, Mike. But things have changed, and I think that's a lot of it. I think it's been for good. And I sometimes question the rules and how they do it. I am a little concerned about the kickoff rule that's coming in now.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Now what is that now? Where you
inside the 25, a fair catch will put the ball in the 25.
Yeah. Oh God.
If it's over 2 in fair catches, you start your first series from the 25-yard line.
It's taken away one of the most exciting part of football, taking away the kickoff return.
They have. And I'm thinking, okay, here's the other side of that is, I just believe this, and there's some of the things I know that you and I have talked about before, but I believe the technology and equipment is out there for a better protection than it is. Now, I know the cost will be included, but so many of these major players, it's, you know what it's like, Mike? It's like the high school and colleges using aluminum bats as opposed to wood.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's that much difference.
And I understand why it was a cost thing to begin with, but now with these big-time programs, they're making money in these programs.
Oh, yeah.
And they can afford to buy that, and take it back to the original.
Right.
So, I get really concerned and confused sometimes on why some of this stuff keeps going. I'm all about protection. I will say this, though. The things that you can't do today, Mike, when we came along, that was the highlight reel.
Exactly. But though, I tell you one thing that they ought to do away with, that steel face mask. That's gonna kill somebody. That steel face mask hitting somebody in the sternum with it,
Yeah. but see, they've gone back to changing the tackling rule.
Oh, yeah.
So they lead with the shoulder. What's that's going to happen? Let me tell you who wins in that. Dr. Jimmy Andrews.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
There's going to be enough shoulder separations, and broken collarbones that the orthopedics around the country going to get, make more money than they ever made.
No question about it.
There are different phases of the game that's going to constantly be changed.
Yeah.
But the college game is still the fastest growing sport in America.
No question about it.
I'm really proud of it.
And Troy, let me tell you, they were putting in the red seats in the end zone. They were putting in the chairback seats yesterday, and gosh, I said, is this Troy, Alabama? I cannot believe this facility. And hey, people in Troy, Alabama should not question anything, because this football program is helping build not only this great university, but it's helped building a great community we got right here.
Yes, it is. I don't think there's any doubt. I get a chance. I'll be back. I'll be in Montgomery with Neil Brown and his staff on next Tuesday for the golf tournament. And
I'll be up there, and we'll ride around on the golf cart together.
I'll be there when they tee it off. They're gonna tee at 8. I'll be there about between 9 and 10. And I was there with him last year, and I just hope the weather holds up. It rained out. It was supposed to be 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And it rained it out, and I hope it'll be a good crowd there. And of course, as you well know, we're coming back with our 50th anniversary of this first national championship in '68.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get a chance to visit, and I've been in touch with a lot of those guys. It's going to be a huge crowd there for that, and I'm sure you know all about that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm throwing a gig on July the 27th and 28th. It's a rock and roll reunion, and I want you to come back for that. You'd love it. Bringing back the classes of 1953 through 1973.
Okay.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a good time for me.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, not only is Max Howell one of the leading analysts in college football today, and we have him on our show once a week, but he's also a gourmet cook. Is that right, Max? You can cook a hamburger. Hey, listen, you can cook a hamburger as well as anybody, can't you?
I cook a hamburger or a raccoon.
Yeah. Now, you've got a cookbook, and you keep selling it out. I know you're getting ready for Christmas with your book coming out in Christmas, but
it will be.
Tell us what you've cooked for folks lately.
Well, let me just tell you, I got one of my best friends' birthday is Friday, tomorrow, and he's a big guy. He's owns a logging company in North Mississippi and all, and he's having to keep his crew in the woods because we've had so much rain up here. But they've just built a new house on the river, and I'm going down on Saturday. I think we got 18, 19 people coming. I picked up the meat yesterday. We're gonna cook fillets, and those fillets, Mike, are inch and a half.
Now, are you gonna wrap them in bacon? What are you gonna do?
No, I'm gonna cook these right off. I'm gonna marinate them for about 12, 14 hours, and they're so tender. I had a special for that.
Oh, that's the best cut of meat there is a fillet, no question.
I'm telling you, we're gonna do it. Then I took last night. I got about 22 or 24 ears of corn, and
not that Silver Queen though, I bet.
Yeah, let me just tell you the way I'm gonna do it. Now, I tried this a couple of months ago. I always used to put it, either put them in grill, wrap them in tin foil with butter. But let me tell you something else I've used. It's got a better taste, and it makes it so. I bathe them in mayonnaise now, and put them and wrap them in tin foil and put them on the grill. We're going to do that, baked sweet potatoes and white potatoes as well. We'll have coleslaw, baked beans, garlic bread, and these guys that I cook for, they're by far their favorite dessert is Mississippi mud pie. That's a 3-layer chocolate.
Yeah. Now you got some vanilla ice cream somewhere, I hope.
Oh, no doubt. When it comes out, I'll put it right. The oven's right there in the outdoor kitchen.
Yeah.
I'll sit down on the table with a gallon of vanilla ice cream on the table with it.
And what are you gonna drink?
We're a big old pitcher of sweet iced tea.
That's right, my friend. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you again next week here.
We'll do it, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you. Max Howell calling in. I hope you enjoyed our show. Let me tell you, he's one of the top sports analysts in the country, radio guy. He's known all over this country, and we are able to get him for this amount of time every week. So tune in, and we'd love for you to participate. Call in and ask him questions and so forth. He knows He's been there. He's done it. And that's what's so great about him. And he's a very nice guy to begin with. Hope you've enjoyed our show today. We come back on today at 1:30. Brought to you by Marco's Pizza and a lot of great people out there. And, of course, I wanted to remind you that Cahaba Bank will be opening soon just off of Publix Boulevard. And we're looking forward to that. Grady Caps and the great people there at Cahaba Bank, located right here in Troy, Alabama. We'll see you later. Have a great day.